Prestissima here. Today we are going to talk about rhythm! So far, when we've been learning our songs, we've been singing and clapping them together before we played them on the piano. That's partly so you can hear and know how the melody goes, but it's also so you can learn the rhythm. We've been training our ears using solfege and the melody, and we've been training our bodies by clapping the rhythms. So when we sing a song and we clap, we are clapping the beat. Music notation in our score shows us the pitch. So what pitch is it? A, B, C, D, E, F, G? But it also shows us the rhythm. Today, we're going to learn a little bit about how music notation shows us how the rhythm is notated in our songs. Let's take a look at our book. Let's see. Oh, music has a beat, and the notes of a song are sung or played in various rhythms to the beat of the music. Sometimes we clap or tap our foot to the beat of a song while we sing or play the rhythmic melody. Composers use music notation to write down their songs and show us what notes or pitches to sing or play. And they also use that to show us what rhythms to sing or play. We place notes on a staff, the placement, to tell us the pitch. And then we use the shape of the note to tell us the rhythm. We assign each shape a value, and that value tells us its duration, or how long it's held. So to start, we're going to learn 4 different note values, which we'll know the difference between them by their shape. The first one is called a whole note. So the whole note is basically just an oval. Then we have a half note. A half note is an oval, but it has a stem on it. So it's just a stick attached to the oval. Okay, that's a half note. Then we have a quarter note. It's the oval, but we fill it in so it's dark. And then you add a stick to that. And that's called a stem. So we have the filled in dark oval with the stem, and that's the quarter note. And then the eighth note is basically a quarter note with the filled in oval and the stem, and it has a little flag. So that is the eighth note. It has filled in oval, the stem, and a flag. So the oval we were talking about for the whole note, that's called the note head. So that oval is a note head. And for a whole note, we don't have any sticks, no stems attached, right? So it's just the note head. Then for the half note, you have the note head, the empty oval, right, with a stem attached to it. Then the quarter note has a note head, but it's filled in, so it's dark, right? All black note head with a stem attached to it. And the eighth note is that same dark filled in note head with the stem and a little flag. Now sometimes when you have 2 eighth notes right next to each other, instead of each of them having their own little flag, they kind of fuse their flags together at the top. So this is an eighth note, and he has a little flag, right? It goes that way. And then the one after him is an eighth note too, but his flag just comes back to meet this guy. So they're kind of together. When we do that, when we attach the eighth notes together like that, we call that beaming them together. So here, instead of their flags, this is a beam. So now you know what the notes look like. Now we're going to learn how to give the notes a beat. When we clap and sing a song like Mary had a little lamb, that's clapping the beat. We're going to call each clap a beat. So I'm going to clap the beat, and I'm going to count to 4, and I'm going to do it 2 times. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so now you're going to do it with me. We're going to clap the beat, and we're going to count to 4 while we clap, and we'll do it twice. Okay, ready? 1, 2, ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good job! Can we do it 4 times in a row? Let's try it. Ready? 1, 2, ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. we clap, we're going to call that the beat. And every time we say 1, we're going to call that the pulse. So let's play around with this a little bit. We can clap all the beats, but we don't have to say all the beats. We can just say 1, right? And then we'll just think all the rest of the beats. So let's try that. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. 1. 1. 1. Did we do it? Now, let's do the opposite. So we'll say all the numbers of the beats, but we'll only clap on 1. Okay? Let's try that. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yay! Now, when we clap and say the numbers, we're going to put a little bit more emphasis on beat 1. So we're going to clap it a little bit louder, and we're going to say it just a little bit louder too. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So when we count and clap like that, we are clapping the beat and emphasizing the pulse. In addition to counting and clapping in groups of 4, you can count and clap in groups of other numbers too, like in groups of 3. Should we try it? Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. How about groups of 2? Should we try? 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Ooh, how about groups of 6? Let's try. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can even do groups of 5. Let's try a group of 5. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Woo! A great thing to do when you're practicing rhythm is to do 2 things at the same time. So let's try clapping the beat, but we're also gonna stomp our foot on the pulse, okay? So on beat 1, we're gonna stomp our foot and then we'll clap all the beats, okay? So we'll do groups of 4. Let's try it. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Stomp, 2, 3, 4. Stomp, 2, 3, 4. Stomp, 2, 3, 4. Stomp, 2, 3, 4. Woo, that was kind of hard, huh? So let's keep practicing that until it gets easier and easier. Here's another exercise you can try. So instead of stomping your foot, you can have both hands up, and then I will tap the pulse with my left hand, and I'll tap the beat with my right hand. So this is all the beats, right? And this one's only beat 1, okay? So let's do it. This is for groups of 4. Let's try it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good job, everyone! When we emphasize beat 1, we often call that the downbeat. Like when a conductor is conducting a band or an orchestra, you'll see that when they're conducting, they come down on beat 1. So for example, you would have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Groupings of beats are called measures. So if you had a grouping of 4, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Each of those groups of 4 is 1 measure. Measures are also called bars. So you might hear a musician say, oh, this song has 4 beats to the bar. Let's look at the book again. So here's a little snippet of music. And look, you see all these measures. You know it's a measure because it's separated by this line, which is called a bar line, because it's a measure or a bar, and so we have a bar line to separate those. So let's take a look at this minuet by J.S. Bach and see if we can count all the measures. And I know we can, right? Because we know that the measures are separated by these bar lines, right? So let's see. Here's the first measure. So that's 1 bar line, 2 bar line, 3 bar line, 4 bar line, 5 bar line. Next system, 6 bar line, 7 bar line, 8 bar line, 9 bar line, 10. There's 10 measures in this little snippet. So each measure receives the exact number of beats in each grouping. So if that grouping is 3, then there's 3 beats in that measure. Or if the grouping is 5, there's 5 beats in that measure. Or if the grouping is 4, there's 4 beats in each measure. We call these groupings beats per measure. So we might say a song has 4 beats per measure, or 3 beats per measure, or 2 beats per measure, or 6 beats per measure, or 5 beats per measure. Or you could say, like earlier, we could say it has 4 beats to the bar, or 6 beats to the bar, or however many beats to the bar you want. So the way that a composer tells us how many beats there are going to be per measure in the song is going to be with a time signature. So the time signature tells us how many beats per measure. The time signature has 2 numbers. It has a number on top and a number on the bottom. The number on top is going to tell us how many beats per measure. And the bottom note generally tells us what kind of note gets the beat. For now, we'll use the number 4 in the bottom, and that's going to represent a quarter note. So if the top number is a 4 and the bottom number is a 4, then we say there's 4 beats to the measure, because that's the top number 4, and then the quarter note gets the beat, because the bottom number is a 4. And we said that represents a quarter note, right? So now, if we use our logic, if we change the top number to a 3, right, how many beats do you get per measure? Since it's the top, right, that's 3 beats per measure. And if the bottom number is a 4, then the quarter note still gets the beat. So it's 3 quarter notes per measure. So let's keep the 4 in the bottom, and then in the top we're going to change it to a 2 now. So there's going to be a 2 over the 4. How many beats per measure is that? That's 2 beats per measure, because 2 is in the top. 2 beats per measure, and then since there's a 4 in the bottom, what gets the beat? The quarter note gets the beat. So there's 2 beats per measure, and the quarter note gets the beat. Let's look at the note values again. Remember this guy? This is the note head, the big oval, and doesn't have a stem or a line, right? So just that note head, that's our whole note. We're going to say that the whole note gets 4 beats, okay? Then we have the half note. Remember, this has the note head, the empty oval note head with the line coming out of it that we call the stem. So this is a note head with the stem, and this is a half note, and it's going to get 2 beats. So we'll say it gets 2 beats, and it is half of a whole note. All right? Then we have this filled-in note head, right? We called this the quarter note. It was the filled-in note head with the stem coming out of it. Kind of looks like the half note, but it's all dark, right? So this is a quarter note, and we're going to say that it gets 1 beat, okay? So that's a quarter of 4, right? For those of you who do the math now, this is a quarter of a whole note. So 1 beat. Then we have the 8th note, right? So this looks just like the quarter note, has the filled-in stem, or filled-in note head with the stem, and it also has the flag, right? So this is the 8th note. And we're going to say that this gets half of a beat, okay? So half of 1 beat, because it's also 1/8 of a whole note, right? So this is the 8th note. All right, time to put on our thinking caps and we're gonna do some math. So if the time signature is 4/4, so there's a 4 on top and a 4 on the bottom, that means we have 4 beats per measure, and it means that the bottom means that the quarter note gets the beat, right? So if we have 4 beats per measure, and the quarter note gets the beat, and a quarter note is 1 beat, right? How many quarter notes fit in one measure in 4/4 time? So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, right? So 4 quarter notes in a measure in 4/4 time. Okay, so in 4/4 time then, how many half notes can you have in a measure? So a half note is 2 beats, right? So how many? You have 1, 2, and then you have 3, 4. So 2 in the first half note and 2 in the second half note. So 2 half notes in a 4/4 time measure. Okay, how about a whole note? How many whole notes can you have in a measure in 4/4 time? Well, a whole note gets 4 beats, right? So that's all 4 beats of the measure. So you can only have 1 whole note in a 4/4 measure. All right, now how about if we're in 2/4? So the time signature says 2 and 4 on the bottom. So the 2 tells you how many beats per measure? 2. And the 4 tells you what? The 4 on the bottom says that the quarter note gets the beat, right? So let's think. How many quarter notes can you have in a measure if it's 2/4 time? So quarter note gets 1 beat, and there's only 2 beats per measure. So you can have 2. You can have 2 quarter notes in a measure in 2/4 time. Okay, what about, how about a half note? How many half notes can you have in a measure in 2/4 time? So a half note gets 2 beats, right? And there are only 2 beats in a measure in 2/4 time, so you could have 1 half note per measure in 2/4 time. Excellent. So now it's time for some writing on paper for a worksheet. Yay, time to do some rhythm practice. Okay, it says we're gonna do some math. If the time signature is 4/4, see how the 4 is over the 4, right? Then there are 4 beats per measure and a quarter note gets 1 beat. That's true, right? Because this top number says 4 beats per measure and this 4 in the bottom says quarter note gets 1 beat. This means that there can be 4 quarter notes in one measure. That's true. Or there could be 1 whole note in one measure, since a whole note gets 4 beats. That's true too. So how many half notes could there be in one measure? Well, we know that a half note gets 2 beats, so 2 plus 2 is 4. There we go. Okay, now if the time signature is 2/4, 2 in the top and 4 in the bottom, then there are 2 beats per measure. Yep. And a quarter note gets 1 beat. Yes? So this means that there can be 2 quarter notes in one measure. That is true. Or there could be 1 half note in one measure, since a half note gets 2 beats. Right. That's a whole measure is the 1 half note. So could there be a whole note in one measure? Well, a whole note gets 4 beats, right? And there's only 2 beats per measure in 2/4, so definitely not. That would be too many beats. All right, write the time signature for 3 beats per measure with a quarter note gets 1 beat. Okay, so if there's 3 beats per measure, then the 3 goes on top. Okay, and then if a quarter note gets 1 beat, that's a 4 on the bottom. We know that, right? Excellent. Okay, next page. It says, draw bar lines to divide the grand staff below into 3 measures. Okay, well, it's easiest to draw the one at the end first, so I'll do a one at the end. Okay, all right, now I have to divide this into 3, so I need 2 more lines. I'll draw one here, 1 and 2. Okay, look, now I have 3 measures. Excellent. Write the time signature for 4 beats per measure. A quarter note gets 1 beat. Okay, so 4, the per measure is on top. So I have 4 beats per measure, and then quarter note gets 1 beat. So it's a 4 on the bottom. Very good. Write the time signature for 3 beats per measure. A quarter note gets 1 beat. Okay, so 3 on top, because 3, and then quarter note is 4 on the bottom. Okay. Write the time signature for 2 beats per measure. A quarter note gets 1 beat. Okay, so it's 2 beats per measure. That's on top. And then quarter note gets the 4 on the bottom. The top number of a time signature tells us how many blank per blank. So the top number tells us how many beats per measure. And remember, we also know that that's called a bar. Haha. Okay, write the rhythmic name of each note below. Okay? So this is a note head. It's empty and it doesn't have any stems or flags. So that is a whole note. And it gets 4 beats. Okay, how about this one? This is an empty note head with a stem. So this is a half note. And it gets 2 beats. All right, how about this one? Oh, it's all filled in, right? And it has a stem. This one is called a quarter note. And it gets 1 beat. And then this last one is filled in note head and a stem and a flag. So we call this one an eighth note. And it gets half of a beat. Excellent. So today we learned a little bit about rhythm. We learned a couple of cool tricks to practice, like clapping the beat and then stopping the pulse, right? So we did 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we also did this cool trick where we had both our hands up and then we tap the pulse and we also tap the beat with the other hand. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We learned about measures and time signatures, and when it comes to rhythm, oh my goodness, there's so much more to learn! It was so much fun practicing with y'all today,